And I think it's fair to read this. Michael Wolff at New York Magazine a couple years ago wrote this. He says that there's a fundamental schism in American cultural society. Actually, the fundamental schism in American cultural society is people who say schism and people who say schism. There's two kinds of people. And I'm not sure which you are. But if you're on the other side of the fence, I hope you understand what I mean. Michael Wolff said, there's a fundamental schism in American cultural, political, and economic life. There's the quicker growing, economically vibrant, morally relativist, urban-oriented, culturally adventuresome, sexually polymorphous, and ethnically diverse nation. And there's the small-town, nuclear family, religiously oriented, white-dominated other America with its diminishing cultural and economic force. Indeed, two nations. You know, you can. There's obviously an ideology behind that way of framing it. On the other hand, I think he's right that the one side is losing cultural force, it's losing territory, it's the Christ-haunted place, it's the place where the old approach to evangelism used to work. It still works to a certain degree. Now, what do I mean by that? And I've got to finish this introduction. I'm old enough that I can see that so many of the magic bullets, the evangelism magic bullets, that used to work even when I was a younger man, younger minister, are gone. They've died on the vine. In the middle of the 20th century, a personal hero of mine, no disrespect, Billy Graham, honed the crusade evangelism, which I think in a sense really developed under Wesley and Whitefield and the Great Awakening, and honed that and brought that method of evangelism to its highest efficiency and effectiveness. And yet, of course, nobody thinks that's the future for doing evangelism in the West. By the middle end of later in the 20th century, the way all the churches were going was personal evangelism training. So you had evangelism explosion, you had lay institute for evangelism using the four spiritual laws, you had the navigators, and you had programs in which people, a certain percentage of the people in your church were trained on how to share their faith. And then they went out there, they went onto the beaches, they went door to door, they followed up the visitors to your services and so forth, and they shared their faith. I had a church in a small town of Virginia in the 70s. We used evangelism explosion religiously, if it's the right way to put it. We saw lots and lots of fruit. I happen to know that town hasn't changed much, at least on the surface. It hasn't grown that much. It looks like the people are the same. There's almost no fruit from that kind of program anymore. Almost no fruit at all in that town in Virginia. The demon's in too deep. What happened? The doctor was right. Now, by the time you get to the 90s, the evangelism magic bullet was the seeker service. And it's way too early to say that's over. You know, it's very easy to heap scorn on something that's still actually going relatively strong. And yet I think it's fair to say that the critics of it are right in pointing out that 20-somethings are turning away from the traditional seeker service. Isn't it amazing we have to call it the traditional seeker service? But also, many people, rightly so, say it still assumes a kind of white bread, middle-class bourgeois, Christianized, Christ-haunted sort of culture in order to function. I don't think anybody's looking to the seeker service to turn the tide. Perhaps the only magic bullet anybody's looking to right now is the Alpha program. And I would say that if you put content aside for a second, the Alpha format is definitely a huge improvement and right for our time because there's a process involved instead of just a quick presentation, and it's more communal. Nevertheless, the doctor is right. I've seen this a million times with churches that just sort of try to take the Alpha program or some other magic bullet. They raise the money, they train the people, they roll out the program, they're just trying to graft onto the side of their existing ministry an evangelism program, hoping that somehow that's going to help them win more people. And it won't work anymore. The demon's in too deep anymore. There's going to have to be a complete transformation of our personality, our theology, and our community by the gospel. The gospel has to recapture us, and we have to recapture the gospel, or evangelism will not work anymore. We won't be able to do any kind of evangelism anymore. The demon's in too deep.